Hello everyone, my name is Victor Barabarabo, and today I want to speak on the topic I call peaceful protest and leadership. But before I go on, I would like to pay respect to those who lost their lives at the Lekki toll gate in the shootings and then all across the country. I pray that may your souls rest in peace, and may the reasons for your death not be in vain, that generation upon generation will remember you, and people will smile because you sacrificed yourselves. Like I said, I want to speak on peaceful protest and leadership. But before I go into that, I want to say to the protesters, we have won. We didn't win because the government has done what we asked them to do. But we won because for once we were able to confront our fears. We won because we were able to let the government know that they are not leading animals but human beings. We won because we conquered our fears. And the world saw that yes, people are no longer happy. So that is why from my own perspective, we have won. It is not because the government has done what we asked them to do. No, they haven't done it. So I congratulate every protesters, everyone who came out anywhere you were and you protested or you supported the protest. I congratulate you and God bless you. You see, exactly 2 weeks today before the Lekki shootings, I made a broadcast and I talked to the protesters and also to the government. And I want to repeat one of the key things which I told the protesters, because that is where I am going to talk much today. One of the key things which I told the protesters was about leadership. In those videos, I led them to understand that leadership is important, because historically it is known in civil resistance that no civil resistance lasts without leadership. Every civil resistance or protest that has no leadership will just come like wildfire and then it will collapse within the shortest possible time. So I made it important that they have to understand that, and they should put leadership in place immediately for them to sustain the protest. But all the same, whichever way it has gone, I am happy about what has happened. But what after that we should do so that those who died will not be in vain. The world has seen that the people are not happy in Nigeria. So there are things that the people must do. Like I said in that video, I made them understood that without leadership, you won't know what to do at every point in time. Because leadership will strategize, bring out targets or goals that you will have to meet up. And then it will enable you to know if you have won or you have lost. It will enable you to know if to stop or to continue. I also talked about discipline, which I congratulated them for being so disciplined. Because in civil resistance, discipline is key. But I kept on talking to them about leadership, that they should have leaders from national, state, local government, and down to the villages. That is the only way that the movement will be sustained. So that's a part, but I am going to dwell on that today. You see, one thing we must understand is that the Nigeria you see is not going to be the Nigeria you will see tomorrow. And one thing I noticed is, if you were following the protest, you discover that those who protested were those formerly called Southern Protectorate before the 1914 amalgamation or the annexation, because it's not amalgam, it's annexation. They stole people and their land together to make a contraption, a business entity that they are gaining from. So those who protested were those from former Southern Protectorate. Those from the Northern Protectorate did not involve. And for the reason which you know and I know, apart from Aisha, that woman that was calling upon her people to join, but today they are insulting her, cursing her, doing all sorts of things. But I want them to understand that tomorrow that woman will be laughing while they will be crying. Because what that woman is saying today, and she is telling them, and they don't want to join, tomorrow they will understand better, and that woman will be smiling. So I want the peaceful protesters to understand that all that has happened. Now, what do we do? Because in the protest, you must keep it on. You must keep it on in the sense that it doesn't mean that you must start going to the street now, but you have to have what we call leadership structure. The leadership structure will enable you to strategize and plan what you will even do in the next 5 years. You see, leadership is not easy. It is not a come and eat. I listened to the protest. They were saying they don't want leaders because government is going to arrest them. Some of them, they are going to take bribe if they are leaders. Look, then you are not prepared. For you to assume the position of a leader, or for you to be called a leader, it is not the kind of leadership that we see in Nigeria, whereby a leader will sit down and take everything that belongs to the people. A leader is someone who will sacrifice him or herself for the people. That is who a leader is. A leader is someone that will put aside his personal gain and focus on the people. For example, if there's a loaf of bread, and this loaf of bread will not be enough for everybody to eat, a leader must have to give it to them to eat. A leader should starve, or at least take a little bite of it. But not the leaders we have in Nigeria today, that if there's a loaf of bread, the leaders, they will cut it into two, take one half and give the rest half to the people. You are not a leader. So a leader is someone that must be prepared to sacrifice himself. We have leaders. Look at people like Nelson Mandela, that spent 27 years of his life. He was arrested when he was about 50 something years. 27 years of his life in prison. That is a leader. Look at Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others in Ogoniland that sacrificed themselves. The government killed them because they wanted a better condition for their people. They refused to take bribe. Even when the government was compelling on them, you have to do this, then we will set you free. They said no. If sacrificing myself and my people is what will liberate them, I'd rather do it than to take bribe and then frustrate the people. Martin Luther King Jr. was another leader. He was shot. Mahatma Gandhi was another leader. So a leader is someone that must sacrifice himself. Look, if you read the Bible very well, you discover that Moses was a prince and he was a general in the Egyptian army. But when the call, when as a leader, when that thing in him spoke to him, when he began to sense this leadership quality, when he began to see what was going on, he said no. He stepped out of his comfort zone to attend to his people. Look at someone like Esther. She said, if I die, I die. If I live, I live. That is the statement of a leader. And she stepped out of her comfort zone for the sake of her people. Look at Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a cupbearer to the king. He was serving the king. But when he heard of that Jerusalem has been destroyed and the walls and everything was done, he wept, and his vision was to rebuild Jerusalem again. He stepped out of his comfort zone to do that. A leader should be prepared to step out of his comfort zone. A leader must be prepared to die. A leader must be prepared to suffer. So if you are having a movement that there is no leadership, then you are not prepared to go through these things. And let nobody tell you that peaceful protest or civil resistance is always peaceful, in the sense that nobody will die. It is not in your view that people should die. You will not plan people's death, but the government or your adversary must always find a way to eliminate, to kill, and so that they can destroy the struggle. And that is their works. So you must be prepared. You must have this at heart, and you must know that these things will happen. Come rain, come shine, it will happen. So you should be prepared for it. But if you are not prepared to come out for fear of being arrested or for fear of being killed, then there is no way. And nobody, you see, nobody can tell me that among those protesters that there is no leader. No. So they should try. You should try and change that settings. It is not working. Without leadership, it is not working. You have to change it. You see, one of the problems we have is that we always look at the top. We always look up for leaders. But there are leaders down there that the opportunity has not come to them for them to be at the top. But if we look around us, if we look down, we will see genuine leaders that are ready to sacrifice themselves, that are ready to pay the price for the people to survive. So, but we always look up. He said leadership is not about money. So, if we are to build a struggle or protest or civil resistance, it must be based on ideology, so that people will not act on impulse. It must be based on ideology, so that whether you are there or not, it continues. Ken Saro-Wiwa said, you can kill the messenger, but you cannot kill the message. Is the message not there till today? The message is there, but Ken Saro-Wiwa is there, but the message is there. So it must be based on ideology, so that whether the leader is there or not, people will continue. You see, the Ogoni people have had a rough time, a very brutal experience of what the Nigerian military, can do. From the 90s, we've had that experience. So when we talk about civil resistance or peaceful protest, we have that experience and we know what it is. We read the Nigerian government as we read the book. We can tell you what the Nigerian government will do in the next 24 hours or in the next 5 years. Because they've done it to us, so we know. And these are most of the things I spoke in that video. And I told them, look, this is what the government will do. This is what you will do. So you have to be prepared this way. So we must understand that leadership is important. There is nothing you do without leadership. There is no how you can put people together without leadership, and that thing will succeed. Look, even in the family, you must have a leader. In the village, you must have a leader. So for you to have a struggle or a peaceful protest that will engulf the whole nation, and without leaders, it's somehow. So I am calling upon the people to step back, to jump better. And you have to do that by going to the drawing board and begin to find your leaders. Begin to find who should lead you. So that when you are coming back again, you know that yes, you already know what is on ground. You already know what to do. And you have people. You see, one of the advantages in having a leader is this. Honestly speaking, a leader, when you're leading a group of people, for example, as the protest started, Now, those demands, the leaders are supposed to present this demand to the government. When you present it to the government, because the government will not engage, cannot engage everybody. They want to engage a set of people. Whatever they want to do to them. I know the government also have their own ulterior motive, but the leader must be prepared for all those things. So you must be prepared, and the leaders must present those things, because you must open channels for negotiation. And the leaders are the people that will give the government ultimatum. We are giving you 1 week, we are giving you 3 weeks, we are giving you 1 month or 3 months for you to fulfill this. If this is not done, then we are coming back. These are what the leaders will do. So now, if a protester doesn't have leaders, there is no how you can get supporters or allies, either passive allies or active allies. Okay, if there are people that want to support the movement, if there are people that want to materially, monetarily, whichever way, how will they support the movement when there are no leaders to contact? But if there are leaders to contact the people, there are some people that will not want to show themselves, but they will contact the leaders and supply whatever they want to supply to the leaders. So, but when there is no leader, how will those things happen? So the leader is there to encourage the people. The leader is there to ginger the people to move on. So when you have leaders, you discover that people will be enthusiastic about what you are doing. People will know where you are going, because the leader should be able to point to the future, to the people. This is where we are going. And it goes from top down. So you understand that it will be very difficult for the government to crack down on the movement or to eradicate the movement completely. It will be very difficult for them to do, because leaders will be there mapping out strategies to use. Now, if there were no people like Mandela, if there were no people like Mandela that maybe was in jail, how would they negotiate? If there are not people like Martin Luther King, if there are not people like Mahatma Gandhi, how would India be liberated? So these are things that a leader will do. So I'm calling upon my people, the youth that protested, please, you don't have to let this go in the drain. You have to see that you come together, plan, and come back again. But this time, your demands will be much more than what you demanded. You know what you are going to demand. But if you don't put yourself together, then it will all be in a waste. It will all be a waste. And it is unfortunate, and it will be unfortunate if those who died in vain. People have died. So you must plan. You must plan. You must step back to jump better. You must plan. You must know what to do. There are people willing to act, but they need to see someone that will direct them. This is how you go about it. This is what you do. If you don't do that, the protest will be porous, and when the government comes, they can easily crack down, and then the whole thing will be off. So I'm calling upon you. You have done perfectly well. In fact, one of the things I commended was how you were able to organize yourself. And I said, without leadership, and you are so organized, you are so disciplined. Now tell me, if without leadership you are so disciplined and organized like that, what about when you have leaders in place? I'm telling you, you will be a world beater. It will be difficult for any government to eradicate you completely. So I'm calling on the protesters. Go back to the drawing board and see what you can do, because the battle is not over. That was just testing the microphone. It was just the beginning. For people to know that something is going on, something is happening, something is cooking. So you have to plan. You have to get leaders from the federal down to the village. It is important. But one thing I want you to look at is, why did the people in the north refuse to participate? Why did they refuse to protest? So it means you have to use your tongue to count your teeth. You have to understand when next you come out, the kind of protest. And if I were you, I will come out for referendum. Let's decide how our country will be. Let's storm the street and decide how that country will be. We have to call for a referendum for people to decide their future. In Zamfara State, people are mining their gold and selling to the central bank. But in the south of Nigeria, the government is taking their oil. I bet you pass a law, a decree, that anything 6 feet below the ground surface belongs to the federal government. But when it comes to your own area, it is for the people. But when it comes to others, it belongs to the federal government. The injustices in Nigeria is high. The government cannot do anything for you. The government has never done anything for you. Now, if you were to be an American, would you be proud of your government? That Americans were able to rescue the people that was captured, or one person that was kidnapped in northern Nigeria, and just one person, American government is able to send their people on a rescue mission and retrieve this guy from them. But what has the Nigerian government done for you? If you like, they said the whole village is down. You won't see anything. Call the police or call the Nigerian army that this is what is going. You won't see anybody. So when we talk about sacrifice, when we talk about being patriotic, when the government is not, how do you expect the people to be patriotic? Americans are ready to die for their country because their country, their government is ready to die for them. But what kind of government do we have? What kind of leadership do we have? The one that will take everything. Look at leaders crying because of palliatives. Because of palliative that you want to use on your own birthday, what belongs to the people, you refuse to give it to them. And now that the people have broken the warehouses and are collecting those things, you are crying because you wanted to use it for your birthday. Shame on you. So people should stay hungry until your birthday. What don't even belong? Does it belong to you? No. So I'm calling on the protesters. There is a lot that you need to handle in that country. There is a lot that needs to take place. But you have to plan. You have to put yourself together. You have to organize yourself. There must be leaders that will put things in place. If there are no leaders to put things in place, nothing will happen. You see, out of a protest like this, leaders are born. Genuine leaders are born. Many of the great leaders we've had in this world come from peaceful protests like this. They challenge a tyrannical system. They challenge a system that oppressed them. And they succeeded. Great leaders are born out of struggles like this, out of protests like this. So you don't neglect that. You don't neglect that. It is a point whereby leaders, a lot of leaders will emerge. So I'm calling on the protesters. Don't just end there. Go back, make your drawings, plan, and see what you can do. Because it is leaders that gives morale to people. You see, you ginger the people, and the people will know that yes, we have people. And when anything happens to you, the leader, the people will protect you, the people will protest, the people will ensure that their voices are heard so that you will be free. It is vice versa. You can't have those number of people behind you and you'll be fidgeting for what? So in the first place, as a leader, you must know what is ahead of you. You must know what is at stake. You must know that this is that. You must know that there is life. You must know that there is death. Either of it must happen. So you must prepare. If you want to step into leadership, you must prepare yourself for anything that will happen. So whatever you are doing, do it from your heart and know that yes, you are prepared for this. So I'm calling on the protesters, please do not let the souls of people that passed away to be in vain. Go back home, organize yourself, because you have won the battle. And prove to these people in power, prove to the government that don't care for you, that you are the government, that you are the people in control and not them. You see, one of the key things that is important why you need leadership is because you will know when the struggle is in your control. You will know when it's out of control. You will know when people are trying to hijack the struggle. And like I said, government will always want to infiltrate. Government will always want to hijack the peaceful movement. It was until the government sent their own people in that the protests that you saw became violent. And it is not even the protesters, it is those that the government has set in that started to cause those problems. It happened to us in Ogoni land. The government was far away to infiltrate, to destroy it. The government killed 4 of our men just to get at Ken Saro-Wiwa and others. That is the government of Nigeria. We read them, we know them. We can tell you what they will do next. When a protest like this is on, or when a struggle is on, we can tell you in totality what the Nigerian government will do. We've experienced that firsthand. I experienced it from my team. So it is not a joke. It is not a joke. So I'm calling on you, come out with a leadership structure and with ideology so that your movement, the protest, can march on. So that people can be liberated in Nigeria. Nigeria is a dungeon. Nigeria is a concentrated camp. It's a concentration camp. People are suffering in it. So once more, I thank you, the protesters. You did excellently well. But there is another side of it that you have to look at, and that is the leadership side, so that you know next what to do and how to go about it. I thank all of you, Nigerians everywhere in the world, that lend their voices and whatsoever for the struggle or for the protest to happen. You have won, not because the government did what we asked them to do, but because we were able to let them know that we are not animals. We won because we were able to conquer that fear. And the government, they know it. Forget whatever drama that is going on, whatever thing the government is trying, just forget them. It has always been their way. So once more, I congratulate you. I thank you, and I'm calling upon you. Now let's be more strategic. Bring out leaders. They are there with you. Don't look up, look down. They are there. Thank you. God bless you. And I hope and I believe what we saw was testing the microphone. Greater things that will liberate people that are oppressed in Nigeria will come. Thank you and God bless you. Bye-bye. Republic of suffering and smiling. #1 capital for poverty. Got our independent 1916. Most corrupt and bad leadership. No human rights, no justice. Poverty, they celebrate terrorism. Professor, they work for elite. Unemployment on a great place. Most of